Honorable Speaker, allow me not to waste a lot of time, aware that we have a task ahead of us, and I want to premise my argument that we must be prepared, and the clerks has prepared some tea and some snacks at the entrance in case the Nini gets off. You can just get out and take and come back. Prepare yourself for time. We have a lot of business to execute today. All said and done, Honorable Speaker, I want also to inform the House that Nairobi City County Assembly shall not adjourn for any other influence from other assemblies. Therefore, we are on until our calendar dictates so. Anyone who imagines, who dreams that a Nairobi County Assembly will adjourn to follow other small county assemblies is not possible. Honorable Speaker, I beg to second.
Thank you, the mover. Honorable members, I now put the question that notwithstanding the provisions of the Standing Order 131, this Assembly resolves to reduce the publication period of the Nairobi City County Appropriation Bill 2023, Assembly Bill number 3 of 2023, from 7 days to 1 day. Honorable members, may as many of the similar opinions say ayes? Aye. May as many of the contrary opinions say nays? The ayes have it. Clerk.
Order number 9, the Nairobi City County Appropriation Bill 2023, Assembly Bill number 3 of 2023, first reading. A bill for an act of Nairobi City County Assembly to authorize the issue of sum of money out of the County Revenue Fund and its application towards the service of the year ending on 30th June 2024, and to appropriate that sum and a sum voted on the account by the Nairobi City County Assembly for certain public services and purposes. First reading. Order number 10, the Nairobi City County Appropriation Bill 2023, Assembly Bill number 3 of 2023. Second reading.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I beg to move that Nairobi City County Appropriation Bill 2023 be read a second time. Mr. Speaker, in the morning sitting, the County Assembly adopted the 10th report of the Finance, Budget and Appropriation Committee on consideration of revenue and expenditure estimate for Nairobi City County Government and the County Assembly for the financial year 2023-2024. The approval is meant to advance the motto by His Excellency, the Governor, Honorable Johnson Sakaja, of making Nairobi work. In the approved budget report, the County Assembly had granted authority for establishment of boroughs, payment of bills, operationalism of Nairobi Revenue Authority, jump-starting the feeding program in schools within the city, among other things. The County Assembly has also set aside resources for mitigating and management of disaster, enhancing allocation for the development project, as well as day-to-day activity relating to annual services, the annual actual service delivery that affects the lives of residents of Nairobi County. In the budget as approved by the County Assembly in the morning, the allocation for ward development funds stands at 23 million per ward. Ward bursary stands at 7 million per ward. Each ward has development project, and the school feeding program is supposed to kick off without any hitches. Further, the allocation for the garbage collection has been increased by 200 million. Allocation for gender mainstream has been increased by 50 million, with another 1.5 billion allocated for staff medical insurance. We urge the stakeholders involved in the budget utilization to ensure it is implemented to the letter for the benefit of Nairobians. The committee once again urged the county executive members for finance, Mr. Wan Kerich, to ensure that the payment for World Development Fund project is given priority so that the projects are rolled out and completed in time. The approved budget, Mr. Speaker, shall also guarantee timely payment of salaries, efficient operation of county executive, and adequate facilitation of county assembly to perform its key functions. Honorable Speaker, this appropriation bill therefore intends to provide legal foundation for spending of funds approved by the county assembly. Mr. Speaker, the budget committee has examined and submit bill that confirm that it will figure out approved in the revenue and expenditure estimate report, and further that the recommendations have been incorporated as resolved by this assembly. Honorable Speaker, I wish to urge the members to support this bill and give the county the leeway to utilize the fund for stipulated priorities and other lines of expenditure outlined herein for the next financial year. Honorable Speaker, allow me to call the minority whip to second the motion as one of my best members. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Budget, the only doctor we have in this assembly. Chair, we are proud of you. We are proud of your work. We are proud of your committee. I, being a member of this committee that came up with this first budget of His Excellency Governor Johnston Atur Sakaja. Honorable Speaker, as I said in the first session we had in the morning, that indeed this is a great milestone that we are going to take. This is a legacy that we are going to leave behind as members of the Third Assembly, because we are so lucky that the feeding program is a brainchild of this third government and Third Assembly. As we were growing up, we remember the former president, Daniel Toroitich Arap Moi, because of the famous Maziwa ya Nyayo. Honorable Speaker, this great house, being led by the governor, His Excellency Johnston Sakaja, will be remembered in years to come, 10, 20, 30, 40 years to come, for feeding our school-going children. Honorable Speaker, this food and kitchen initiative, the Dish in a County Shuleni, is going to improve the attendance of the pupils in our public institutions, especially in the informal settlement areas, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I also say that, because I said, and then the Honorable Majority Leader said his sentiments, that I was privileged to have food and carry the same food to school. But Honorable Speaker, I used to take cold lunch. Honorable Speaker, my books used to be stained with soup because I used to carry the lunch box together with my school books. And Honorable Speaker, the same is experienced by hundreds of thousands of pupils that are going to school to date, rather. And Honorable Speaker, on 28th of August, that is after we passed this budget, I believe this will be a thing of the past. The children will be taking warm food, Honorable Speaker, and
their books will no longer be stained with food and soup. Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I also wish to thank the Governor for his wisdom by increasing the bursary allocation. Honorable Speaker, going forward, we shall be issuing bursary to our constituents on a termly basis. This is one thing that the 4 governors that we've had in this county, 5, have been unable to do. And Honorable Speaker, as I conclude, we also thank him for the increment in our WDF allocation. Finally, the governor has done his job, and this assembly today is doing its part. The ball now is in the executive arm of this government, to the chief officers, to the CECs, to make sure that Nairobi in a work. And if Nairobi haita work, the blame shall be onto them. With this, I beg to support. Thank you. To second, rather.
Thank you, Minority Whip. Honorable members, I now propose that the Nairobi City County Appropriation Bill 2023, Assembly Bill number 2 of 2023, be read a second time. Honorable members. We have DNG, please.
Thank you so much, Honorable Speaker. I'd like to bring the House to this, the attention of this House to the document that has been supplied to us by the Sergeant at Arms, titled Appropriation Bill 2023. Kindly allow me to take your attention to page number 3, Ward Development Programs. I don't know if this is a clerical error, but it is indicated that Ward Development Programs is 92,375,466.
Order, Honourable Member, the standing order does not allow you during the second reading to introduce any form of amendment. Are you in support of the bill?
I'm in support of the bill.
Yeah, please.
Just seeking clarity.
Don't highlight on areas maybe of errors, please. Order, Honourable Whip, please. Honourable Perpetua, please.
Okay. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I arise to support this, and like I said in the morning, we as the women of this county assembly and the current Beijing of our generation, we were glad that the gender department was given some allocation to actually assist our younger sisters in matters sanitary pads, because monthly periods is not a shame. So it is something that we are grateful that the gender department will be going around Nairobi to support the young girls who really need this. And my much gratitude also goes to, like I said in the morning, we appreciate...
Honourable Member, please.
Honourable Speaker, to support the above growth strategies, the administration will be focusing funding and efforts towards the following key areas. 1, to reverse negative trend on source revenue, the Nairobi Revenue Act 2021 will be implemented starting with the institutionalization of the Nairobi City County Revenue Authority. Number 2, over-reliance on source revenue and exchequer releases has tethered the county to underfunding and underperformance. The administration will pursue a radical shift in other sourcing of funding, such as grants, donations, and public-private partnership. Thank you, Commissioner, Mama Network. To support this, the administration has come up with a directorate to coordinate the efforts. 3, the county treasury will be enforcing the fiscal responsibility as stipulated in the Public Finance Management Act, Section 107. This will bring sanity in funds appropriation and expedite control, and expenditure control, I beg your pardon. Number 4, despite meeting the provisions of Section 107(2)(b) of the PFM Act 2012, the county has not been able to honor its obligation towards development. The only solution to this is to ring-fence the allocations towards development, with reduction of non-essential recurrent expenditure and increasing county revenue to accommodate non-discretionary expenditure. And 5, the administration will be reducing the cost of doing business by actively implementing the Unified Business Permit and implementing the Trade Licensing Act. Mr. Speaker, in seeking to achieve our medium-term priorities and in fulfillment of the requirements under the Constitution of Public Participation, we accorded Nairobians the opportunity to share their views on issues that needed to be addressed in this budget. Mr. Speaker, we received many useful proposals and suggestions that have informed the priorities outlined in this budget statement. Broadly, these challenges were infrastructural, socio-economic, and other emerging challenges which prove even more complex to handle. However, Rome was not built in one day, and the government remains committed to ensuring concerns of all residents are addressed. Mr. Speaker, infrastructural development has not been commensurate to the rapid growth demands. The population growth in Nairobi City is on an upward trend. Demand for water and sewage far outstrips supply. Traffic congestion continues to bedevil the city. Sprouting of slums, coupled with high levels of inequality, intermittent flooding, and insecurity, have been an ever-persistent concoction of challenges encountered by Nairobi, consequently hampering the achievement of our medium-term development targets. Mr. Speaker, in our quest to be globally competitive, we have continuously remained committed to overcome these challenges, and a lot of efforts and resources have already been invested towards this end. In the medium term, infrastructural development has remained a key investment area of the county, where new roads have been constructed and existing ones maintained, non-motorized transport systems built, public transport expanded and improved, daily waste management of 3,000 tons achieved, beautification of our city and improvement of our public parks done, affordable housing projects continue, fire stations and equipment installed, market and modern kiosks built, huge investments in the health sector for maintenance and construction of health facilities done, quality basic education provided, transition rates to school-going children improved, construction of school feeding kitchens began, and our vocational training centers improved. Mr. Speaker, on support for affordable housing, the county government has continued to redevelop county rental houses to support the development of affordable housing for the Nairobi residents. 2 projects are ongoing under Phase 1, Pangani with a total of 1562 units, and Jivanji with a total of 1830 units, while another 7 projects are under procurement for Phase 2 and are expected to deliver 14,000 units. These include Woodley with 1,700 units, Kariobangi North 1,000 units, Bahati 3,000 units, Ziwani 2,500 units, Maringo 2,000 units, and Jericho 4,000 units. Other phases will be identified after Phase 2 commences. Mr. Speaker, the county has also embarked on renovation of county rental houses not earmarked for redevelopment in the near future. We have therefore witnessed renovation of flats in Buruburu, Jamhuri, Kariobangi North, Huruma, and Uhuru estates. These renovations will continue to ensure that tenants living in county-owned houses live in conducive environments. Mr. Speaker, the World Bank, through the State Department of Housing and Urban Development, is also currently supporting NCCG in upgrading informal settlements through planning, tenure regularization, and infrastructure upgrading. Settlements that will receive immediate infrastructure support in 2023-2024 are Kayole Soweto, Kahawa Soweto, Embakasi, and Kambi Moto. 400 million shillings will be disbursed in financial year 2023-2024. NCCG has set aside 10% as the mandatory counterpart contribution. On institutional reforms and support recovery, Mr. Speaker, while we celebrate the achievements made so far, we are aware that a lot remains to be done in order to conclusively deal with the pressing socio-economic challenges. First, to reverse the effects of recent past negative shocks, and second, to improve and accelerate the betterment of the livelihoods of Nairobians. Consistent with this goal, the government will scale up implementation of policy priorities and structural reforms outlined in the County Fiscal Strategy Paper 2023. The strategy will involve increasing investment in health, infrastructure, education, and environment management. Mr. Speaker, the county has made steady progress since the onset of devolution in improving the business environment and improving efficiency and accountability. Notably, the county has continued to use integrated financial management system, that is IFMIS, in the management of expenditure, thus enhancing accountability in the management of public resources. Leveraging on ICT, the county will be undertaking reforms to enhance the revenue administration procurement through the implementation of an enterprise resource program, ERP, that is intended to ensure full integration of all subsystems. The planned ERP platform is expected to maximize revenue collection and halt perennial outsourcing of revenue collection services, thus helping on reducing the cost of collection. On pending bills, Mr. Speaker, pending bills have accumulated to an astronomical level and over many years. Statutory debts, which date back to more than 10 years, have affected the welfare of our retirees, who should be enjoying their sunset years after working hard for Nairobians. This has also affected service delivery. Mr. Speaker, the delay in payment of these pending bills has led to serious economic and social disruptions, as most service providers suffered financially. In addition, allocation of resources towards debt resolution constrains our fiscal space. The supplementary budget for 2022-2023 accommodated quite a number of pending bills owed to suppliers and contractors who are cleared for payment by the internal audit team. In effect, by the end of the financial year, the government expects to have cleared majority of pending bills owed to suppliers and contractors. To further check the growth of pending bills in the coming financial year and comply with the national government directive, the county treasury will roll out expenditure management policies, and sectors will be required to ensure all their pending bills are fully cleared before the closure of every financial year. Mr. Speaker, I will move on to the fiscal framework for the financial year 2023-2024. Mr. Speaker, over the years, the county has continued to experience fiscal deficit due to the underperformance of on-source revenue. The fiscal policy to support the estimates for financial year 2023-2024 is aimed at reversing this trend by focusing on revenue mobilization of on-source revenues. To this end, the county established the Nairobi City County Revenue Authority in order to address the structural and administrative reforms necessary to achieve revenue targets. The county also introduced a digital pay platform in January 2023, where Nairobians are conveniently able to pay for the services at the comfort of their location. On expenditure, the county will undertake reforms to enhance prudent management of the available resources in order to reduce expenditure of non-core activities and create space for development expenditures. I will now move to revenue and expenditure projections for the financial year. Mr. Speaker, the total revenue projections for the financial year 2023-2024, including both national government transfer grants and own source revenue, amounts to 42.3 billion shillings. Out of this, the projected national transfers amount to 21.3 billion, grants shillings 1.2 billion, while the total projected own source revenues amount to 19.9 billion shillings. Mr. Speaker, the total projected expenditure amounts to 42.3 billion shillings, made up of both recurrent and development expenditures at 28.3 billion and 14 billion respectively. The allocation of development is equivalent to 33% of the total budget, which is in line with Section 107 of the Public Finance Management Act of 2012 that requires that at least 30% be allocated to development. Mr. Speaker, the revenue and expenditure projections are in accordance with the approved budget ceilings in the approved County Fiscal Strategy Paper 2023. Mr. Speaker, allow me to highlight the budget details for the financial year 2023-2024 as tabled before this House. As aforementioned, the driving theme for the budget is to transform our institution and its processes and strategically redirect the county and its people to economic recovery. The county budget for financial year 2023-2024 stands at 42.3 billion. Mr. Speaker, in order to bring services closer to the residents, I have allocated 400 million shillings for construction of borough offices, sub-county and ward offices. The boroughs will be the focal point for planning and will provide a one-stop shop where the residents can access all the services offered by the Nairobi City County. This will ultimately reduce the time taken for Nairobians to get services and ultimately the cost of doing business. In the recent past, we have witnessed destruction of property due to fire. I will also be requesting that this House approves 120 million shillings towards construction of fire stations in Kangemi and Gikomba. On the ward development program, Mr. Speaker, the Ward Development Program, WDF, is aimed at reducing disparities in resource allocation and development across all wards. The impact of the program has been felt all over Nairobi. However, the implementation of ward programs has been faced with various obstacles, leading to delayed implementation of projects and therefore denying Nairobians the much needed services. The County Treasury has embarked on payment of completed certificates, paving way for a seamless implementation of WDF projects in the coming financial year. Mr. Speaker, the projects to be implemented under this program will be ward-based, depending on the priority of the individual wards. The proposal from wards are development-oriented, mostly in infrastructure development. I have proposed an allocation of 1.95 billion as allocation in the budget to WDF. Mr. Speaker, implementation of various programs and projects will require an efficient procurement system. To this end, and in line with the government policy on e-procurement, the county will undertake implementation of e-procurement in line with the national government policy. This will not only enhance efficiency, but also ensure the county gets the best services at the best prices possible due to increased competition. Mr. Speaker, in an effort to achieve universal quality healthcare, during the financial year 2022-2023, ICU, renal unit, and satellite blood banks were opened in Mama Lucy Kibaki Hospital. Repairs, rehabilitation, and equipping of various medical facilities were implemented. To continue with the spirit of affordable healthcare, I have allocated 400 million shillings for equipping and stocking of sufficient drugs and pharmaceutical items to the county health facilities. I have also allocated Kenya shillings 1.1 billion for construction, equipping, and rehabilitation of health facilities. Ensuring affordable health services are accessible to all remains our key priority. Mr. Speaker, on the school feeding program, to take care of the school-going children in Nairobi, I have allocated 1.2 billion shillings in the current budget for public primary schools and ECD centers feeding, and 500 million shillings in development for construction of kitchens and serving sheds. This program will improve the nutritional status of the learners and also encourage students to attend school, leading to an increase in enrollment, performance, and transition to higher levels of education. The county has targeted to feed about 250,000 children. Mr. Speaker, on investing in infrastructure development, the priority area for this sector will be to enhance pedestrian safety and connectivity through construction and rehabilitation of roads, street lighting, stormwater drainage, and bridges. Completion of ongoing roadworks will be targeted as a key priority, together with rehabilitation of already completed works. I have allocated 2.6 billion shillings to facilitate the implementation of the development projects in the sector. Mr. Speaker, in order to enhance access to education and to support the national government effort to ensure 100% transition to secondary schools, the county government has been providing support to the needy students through the provision of bursaries. The county is continuing with this endeavor, and in this regard, I have allocated 857 million for provision of bursaries to the needy students. Out of this, 7 million will be allocated to every ward, and the balance will be available to sponsor all continuing students under the executive scholarship program. Mr. Speaker, in order to develop talent among the youth, I have further allocated 554 million for the construction and rehabilitation of stadia, which serve as recreation centers for our youth. Mr. Speaker, in order to create an enabling environment for traders and investors, I have allocated 730 million for construction of various markets within the county and 100 million shillings for relocation of informal traders from main streets to maintain order, dignity in the streets of Nairobi. Mr. Speaker, supply of water remains a constitutional right to the public, and management of sewer is an unavoidable responsibility. Management of solid waste and sewage is a challenge we continuously seek to overcome. We have procured 27 tippers, 10 skip loaders, 24 refuse compactors, 3 bulldozers, 4 backhoe trucks, as well as increased human capital by employing 3,000 support staff to undertake cleaning in the city. We are therefore planning to increase the daily waste management to 3,200 tons per day. Mr. Speaker, for beautification and greening of Nairobi, we planted 365,000 trees, 38,000 flowers, installed 11 air quality monitors in financial year 2022-2023. We have programmed to plant an additional 1 million trees, continue with beautification of parks, complete construction of Uhuru Park, Jivanji, and dump site Weybridge, as well as install litter bins in the city. Mr. Speaker, in order to enhance food security among Nairobians, the county government is taking deliberate measures to improve food production through promotion of urban farming across the whole value chain. These measures include provision of extension services and training of the youth on modern farming methods. Towards this, I have allocated the food and agriculture sector 123.9 million for the installation of greenhouses, water harvesting tanks, vertical vegetable gardens, and promotion of broiler farming. On the County Assembly, Mr. Speaker, the County Assembly plays an important role in all legislative functions within the county, including approval of county laws, policies, budgets and expenditure, integrated development plans, tariffs, rates, and service charges, as well as playing an oversight role on the county executive. To achieve this role, Mr. Speaker, I have proposed an allocation of 3.25 billion to the County Assembly for recurrent and development. Mr. Speaker, allow me now to turn to the revenue-raising measures and sustainability. Mr. Speaker, the financial year 2023-2024 budget estimates will be financed from both transfer from the national government and on-source revenue. As highlighted earlier, the total resource projection for the financial year 2023-2024 stands at 42.3 billion, up from 39.6 billion in the previous financial year. The budget is balanced and therefore no borrowing is envisaged. Mr. Speaker, to ensure the county targets are met, the county treasury projects an income of 19.9 billion from internal sources and 22.5 billion from external sources. We remain hopeful that the diminished revenue due to the harsh economic period will be reversed in the coming financial year. In order to realize the projected on-source revenue, the government has established the County Revenue Authority amongst other revenue-raising strategies. Mr. Speaker, for a long time, the county has lacked requisite legislation. This weakened the administration and mobilization of revenue collection. In the coming year, the county government will be pursuing this agenda through the Revenue Authority to ensure that every revenue stream has an enabling legislation. And with the help of this House, we expect better performance henceforth. We will also continue using the digital pay service platform for convenience and broadening of our revenue base. Mr. Speaker, the completion and capturing of Geographical Information System, GIS-based valuation role remains our key strategy to boost our rates collection. Land rates are currently charged based on the new valuation role of 2019. The number of rateable properties is expected to increase from the current 181,000 to approximately 241,000 properties. We will also introduce sectional properties rates targeting individual houses on a block of apartments. Cumulatively, this measure will increase rates income by approximately 1 billion shillings. Mr. Speaker, we intend to restructure the single business permit codes by introducing new parameters, that is hyper, mega, large, medium, small, and mini, for classification of business in order to enhance fairness and compliance. This will bring on board small traders who previously defaulted due to higher charges. We expect to collect an additional 1 billion shillings after implementation. Mr. Speaker, we will also be mapping revenue streams and setting targets for each stream, sub-county, ward, and individual. This will increase the revenue base, which will ultimately increase actual revenue and form a logical basis for setting targets. Mr. Speaker, I have proposed minor adjustments and new charges through the Finance Bill 2023. The key areas of interest are as follows. There are a few reductions and a few increments, Mr. Speaker. The reduction of originating and terminating charge, that is the seasonal tickets for public service vehicles, matatus, terminating outside the central business district, has been reduced by reducing the current charge by 50%. This will enhance compliance by the PSVs who operate outside CBD, with potential of increasing the collection by 500 million shillings. We have reviewed and graduated the fire inspection certificates as per the sizes and activities in order to enhance compliance. The old charges were too high that led to many clients to seek the same services from neighboring counties that are charging lower fees. Number 3, reduction of the annual licenses and permits for water bowsers and exhausters to enhance compliance. The old charges are also too high, resulting to non-compliance by many operators. This reduction is expected to enhance the safety of water and a clean environment. And number 4, Mr. Speaker, we have reduced charges for complementary education institutions in informal settlements to allow as low as 3,000 shillings for small centers with less than 200 pupils, payable in installments in line with the Nairobi City County Trade Licensing Act 2019 to recognize and encourage the services given to the vulnerable people in society. Mr. Speaker, a few increments and new charges. Restructuring of the single business permit codes by introducing new parameters. That is, as mentioned, the hyper, mega, large, medium, small, and mini.
Briefly, CC Finance, kindly hold a bit. As earlier indicated and communicated by the Chair, Understanding Order 2323, that you shall be heard uninterrupted. But we have got the hours of the meeting, which I would request the Majority Leader to move a procedural motion seeking extension of hours of the sitting. Majority Leader, please.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. As you said, you should listen to the CC Finance in silence, but nature calls, and you must respond to nature of time. That pass on to provision of Standing Order number 33.1. This Assembly resolved to extend its sitting until the conclusion of the sweetest speech given by